Another very short scene with very significant resonances is Act 1, Scene 6. Duncan arrives at the castle. We have been told that he's coming. We have met Lady Macbeth, who says, we have to get ready. This is going to be it. So the tension is building. We have the opportunity in place. Now we just have to get Duncan there within the castle, within Inverness, so that he can be murdered, quite frankly. And he arrives in good-hearted, open-faced, trusting Duncan fashion. This castle hath a pleasant seat. The air nimbly and sweetly recommends itself unto our gentle senses. So naive, so trusting, so sweet, but just a little dense. Banquo is with him, and in contrast, he takes a slightly more hesitant view of things. He looks up and he sees the birds twittering, and he sees everything seeming nice, but he is less confident that it means something. He interprets it a little bit more uncertainly, saying, "This guest of summer, the temple haunting martlet, does approve by his loved mansionry that the heaven's breath smells wooingly here. No jutty frieze, buttress, nor coign of vantage, but this bird hath made his pendant bed and procreant cradle. Where they most breed and haunt, I have observed, the air is delicate." So he's saying that, all right, yes, it looks so lovely here, and we get these lovely swallows, the martlets, the swallows singing and chittering, and everything looks good. But I have noticed that they have been places where things are a little bit more fraught, where things are a little bit more uncertain. So he is interpreting this very, very differently. Noticeably, I would point out also, I have observed. He observes an awful lot. Banquo observes an awful lot, but he doesn't always act on these observations. He is a man of thought more than a man of action, and the perils of that paradigm resonate throughout Shakespeare's work. But then, of course, we get the entrance of Lady Macbeth on that cautious, kind of portentous note. Oh, bad things might be around. Then, of course, enter Lady Macbeth. She comes in, and she is very gracious. She is very welcoming. She is putting on the false face that she told her husband to do. And she is out there, notably, doing the welcoming as she said she would do. She is taking on this role. Now, this is her home, and the woman's place is in the home, so to speak. But here it is, of course, so much more than a home. She is here embracing Duncan to his doom, and he is clueless about it. See, our honored hostess, the love that follows us sometime is our trouble, which still we thank as love. Herein I teach you how you shall bid God Ildas for your pains, and thank us for your trouble. And Lady Macbeth replies very sweetly, very graciously, very politically, all our service at every point, twice done and then done double. We're poor and single business to contend against those honors deep and broad wherewith your majesty loads our house. For those of old, the late dignities heaped up to them, we rest your hermits. Duncan, where's the Thane of Cawdor? We coursed him at the heels and had a purpose to be his purveyor, but he rides well, and his great love, sharp as a spur, hath helped him to his home before us. Fair and noble hostess, we are your guest tonight. Lady Macbeth, your servants ever have theirs themselves, and what is theirs in comp to make their audit at your highness's pleasure. Give me your hand, says Duncan. Conduct me to mine host. We love him highly, and shall continue our graces toward him. By your leave, hostess. They are all acting. They are all performing. Perhaps Duncan is being more authentic to himself. He's very good-hearted. He's very happy. He's very trusting. He's very naive, and that is what he is expected to be. Lady Macbeth is very welcoming, is very gracious, and is the image of the perfect hostess throwing open her home for this honored guest. But of course, behind the false face, within her heart, she is something very, very different. And that's the tension of this scene. So as you see her ushering Duncan into this home, it is her dragging him to his death. And I also love that line where she says, "Your servants ever have theirs themselves, and what is theirs in compt to make their audit at your highness's pleasure, still to return your own." A accounting vocabulary right there, quite frankly. It's an economic terminology which pops up from time to time throughout this, where she is talking in economic terms, and you start to speculate on whether or not that has significance. Well, how is this being accounted in the final accounting of, let's say, one's life? How is this act going to be accounted? How is this act going to find worth? And what ultimately is worth? And by killing Duncan, they are in effect getting more worth. They are getting more wealth. Duncan has promised them wealth because of Macbeth's action in the war. They are going to overleap that even more to get more wealth by killing him. But what is the final accounting of that wealth? So much going on in just this tiny little scene.